The Watch Me app appeared on an ordinary Tuesday, without fanfare or ostentatious marketing. It surfaced discreetly in app stores with a simple description: discover who is watching you. The interface was minimalist, almost austere, with only a central button that activated the camera in augmented reality mode. There were no reviews, comments, or information about the developers. Within hours, the app spread like wildfire among young people. Videos began circulating on social media, showing people filming their environments while shadowy figures appeared superimposed on the screen. The silhouettes were always humanoid, but distorted, as if they were projections of real people stretched and deformed. Some moved slowly, others remained motionless in dark corners. The most disturbing aspect was that each person saw different figures in different locations, as if the app were personalized for each user. Santos Dumont State School was one of the first to witness the phenomenon. During recess, groups of teenagers gathered in the courtyard, phones in hand, screaming and laughing nervously with each new figure that appeared on the screen. Marina, 16 years old, was the first to notice something strange. She was filming the sports court when a tall, thin shadow appeared behind the soccer goalposts. When she lowered her phone to look directly, she saw nothing. But when she raised the device again, the figure was still there, now slightly closer. Lucas, her classmate, mocked the girl's frightened reaction. He took his own phone and pointed it at the same spot. His screen showed the empty court. The shadow Marina saw was exclusively hers. This should have been comforting, but something in her expression made him hesitate. There was genuine fear in her eyes, different from the nervous amusement that all the others displayed. In the following days, app usage intensified. The teenagers began competing to see who could detect more figures, creating a macabre game of shadow hunting. Gustavo, known for his excessive courage, became addicted to the application. He spent hours exploring the school, the neighborhood, and even his own house, mentally cataloging each shadow that appeared. His discoveries were always the most disturbing, figures that seemed to observe him directly, some that followed him from room to room, others that simply disappeared when he blinked. The first real anomaly happened on a Thursday. Julia was in the school bathroom, touching up her makeup in front of the mirror, when she decided to test the app. She pointed the camera at the reflection and almost dropped her phone. A shadowy figure was standing exactly behind her in the mirror, but when she turned around, there was nothing. She looked back at the mirror directly without the phone, and for an instant saw the same silhouette. The reflection lasted only a second, but it was enough to make her hands tremble uncontrollably. The news spread quickly among the group. Others began testing the theory. Ricardo discovered that his shadow on the ground sometimes didn't correspond to his movements when he had the app active. Camilla noticed that some of the figures left footprints in the wet soil of the school garden, marks that remained visible even after she turned off the application. The turning point occurred when Marina decided to film her own house during the early morning hours. She was in her room, parents sleeping, when she pointed the phone toward the dark hallway. 3 shadowy figures were there, motionless, like sentinels. One of them was different from the others. Denser, more defined, and it was looking directly at her through the screen. When Marina moved the phone, the figure moved its head following the movement. They were no longer random digital overlays. It was real interaction. The terrifying discovery was that these entities were not confined to the digital world. They began appearing in ordinary photographs, in window reflections, in shadows cast on the wall. The app had somehow opened a door, made visible something that had always been there, watching, waiting. The first disappearance happened on a Monday. Gustavo didn't attend school, didn't answer calls, didn't respond to messages. His parents said he had left home in the early morning hours and hadn't returned. His phone was found in the city's central square, with Watch Me still open, showing the frozen image of a shadowy figure with details none of the others had seen before. Eyes, 2 bright white dots where the face should be. Lucas was next. 3 days after Gustavo's disappearance, he sent a frantic message to the group of friends, saying he was seeing the white-eyed figure everywhere. In the bathroom mirror, in the television's reflection, in the shadow cast on his bedroom wall. The last message said the figure was outside his window, on the second floor, floating in the air. His family found him the next morning, or rather, didn't find him. The room was empty, window open, with only his phone on the bed showing the application screen. The pattern repeated with mechanical precision. Ricardo disappeared after reporting that the white-eyed figure had appeared in his classroom, visible even without the app. Camilla vanished after recording a video showing the entity walking toward her in the school courtyard, the white eyes glowing intensely on the screen. In all cases, only the phone was left behind, always with Watch Me open, always showing the same figure. Marina became the last of the original group. She deleted the application, formatted her phone, even threw it away, and bought a new one. Nothing worked. The shadowy figures continued appearing, now without need for any technology. She saw them directly, as if her eyes had been permanently altered by the app. All the shadows were common, familiar, except one. The white-eyed figure always appeared in the distance, watching, waiting. Marina's terror grew when she realized it was no longer a question of whether the figure would come for her, but when. Each night, it appeared a little closer. First, at the end of the street, then in the neighbor's garden, then in her own garden. Marina tried to tell her parents, teachers, any adult who could help, but the words came out disconnected, too desperate to be taken seriously. On the last night, Marina decided not to sleep. She kept all the lights on, avoided mirrors and reflective surfaces, positioned herself in the center of the room where she could see all directions, but it didn't help. The white-eyed figure didn't need shadows or reflections to appear. It simply materialized in the corner of the room, more solid and real than ever. The white eyes weren't empty as Marina had imagined. They were infinitely deep, like holes that pierced through reality. Looking directly into them was like falling into a bottomless pit, where time and space lost meaning. Marina understood, in the last seconds of her conscious existence, that Watch Me had never been just an augmented reality app. It was a portal, a recruitment tool. The shadowy figures were collectors, and the white-eyed entity was the true watcher that had always been there, cataloging, choosing, harvesting. When Marina's parents found the empty room the next morning, there was no phone to be discovered. There was no evidence, no clues. There was only silence and the growing certainty that something terrible had happened. Watch Me disappeared from app stores the same day, as if it had never existed. But those who had used it knew the truth. Some doors once opened can never be closed, and some presences once noticed never stop watching. Darkness hides in the details. If you made it this far, the story must have pulled you in. Leave a like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Alma Oculta and ring the bell. That way, you won't miss the next. Dive into terror and mystery. Until next time, if the night allows it.